In today's video, I spent over 300,000 Z tokens to get this set. Is it worth it? Watch on to find out. How's it going, guys? I'm your host Korriban Gaming. Welcome back to a very special Adventure Quest video, and for today's video I'm going to be going through with you guys and giving you guys my thoughts and a full review on all of the set items in the Paleskull Champion set. For those of you guys who do not know what this set is, it is basically the summer donation set for 2022, and in order to get all of the items in the set, you will need to have donated at least a minimum of over 250,000 Z tokens. So for this year's contest, okay, this is also the first time whereby they've expanded the top tier reward, which is the armor, from 15 slots, the initial 15 slots, all the way to 25 slots. So anyone who is part of the top 25 will have a chance of getting the armor. So I donated a grand total of 327,000 tokens this contest, and that gave me 13th placing, okay, in order to get the armor. And these are just some of the names of the people who won some of the prizes over here. Alright, so that's our top 100 players, and in order to get all of the items, I do think that initially when it was just the top 15, okay, you need to have donated at least 500,000 tokens, but this year, since they expanded it to top 25, the minimum has decreased slightly, but I assume it's only going to increase. So you can see here, everyone who's gifted at least a little bit of tokens will get the face, and my character face is currently the Paleskull Champion face. Okay, if you give at least 1,000 Z tokens, you'll get the Helm miscellaneous items. At least 2,000 Z tokens will reward you with the shield. And then top 100 will get the weapon, top 50 will get the pet, top 25 will get the armor, and the top 10 will get a special version of the armor that lets you color customize it to your liking. Alright, so I'm going to give you guys a little bit of backstory on why I decided to go for the set. So there were quite a few factors, okay. First of all, I am a huge He-Man fan, okay. He-Man is, for those of you who do not know, He-Man is a cartoon that was started off in the 1980s or 1990s, I believe it was 1990s, okay. And then eventually they had a reboot series in the early 2000s. Now, as someone who is a kid born in the 90s, I have watched the He-Man series, not the original one though. I only watched the reboot version, and the reboot version, I'll place the picture up here so you guys know which one I'm talking about. Yeah, that was the one that really inspired my love for He-Man. I used to have these sort of He-Man action figures, but now I no longer have it. I think it's been thrown away or something like that. So yeah, I was a huge He-Man fan when I was young, and this set is obviously based on He-Man. For those of you guys who have watched the cartoon, you would know how this set looks exactly like He-Man and his battle cat. Alright, so that was the first reason. Second reason is because right when the contest first started, it was highly rumored that this set was going to be darkness, and as you guys know, we have no lack of good darkness items in the game, especially darkness armors. So I'm like, I don't think I'm going to go for it if it's going to be darkness, because everything points to it being darkness. You look at the name, Paleskull, okay, Paleskull, that just it just rings of darkness to you, right? Skull, you relate it to death, and then you relate that to darkness, and on top of that, you look at the artwork, it looks to be either earth or darkness. So yeah, but then right before the contest ended, we got a confirmation from Holo on the forums that this was not going to be a darkness set. So I think that was like the final pushing factor that made me compete. Alright, the third factor was the Z token sale that was also going on. So there was a 50% Z token sale going on for Talk Like a Pirate Day. Normally we don't have a sale for Talk Like a Pirate Day, if I'm not mistaken, but yeah, I do have a feeling that they are going to extend this sale all the way until the end of the year. Anyways, 50% Z token sale meant that this was the first time that I actually bought the biggest Z token package. Okay, by default you get 200,000 tokens, okay, but then with the 50% sale I'm getting 300,000 tokens for the same price. So that was just too good to pass up, so eventually I bit the bullet, bought the most expensive pack, and you know, I still have like over 90,000 tokens left over right now, which I can spend on Black Friday, as well as some other token items. Of course, you guys want to stay subscribed to the channel for when that time comes, because it's going to come very, very soon. Okay, if you guys want to hear my recommendations on what to spend your tokens on. And then the last factor was Okay, for those of you guys that have not been following the channel, okay, I had a little bit of quote-unquote drama with the staff and how the game was run just a short while back. In fact, it was a very recent thing. Okay, so basically I was unhappy that the staff weren't kind of listening to the players on what we wanted, and the actions that the staff has taken have basically left a sour taste in my mouth. But with that being said though, after all that has transpired, after I released my video, they did, you know, make what I believe to be some correct changes. Okay, they listened to the feedback, and with all of that being said, we did have quite a couple of good releases leading up to this. Like, they are releasing strong items like the Louis, Mata, and Optical Missiles. I'm very happy with those 3 miscellaneous items that they released. So yeah, I do believe that the staff is indeed taking our feedback into consideration and finally starting to listen to the players, or at least majority of the players, on what we actually want to see inside of the game. So that gave me the confidence and restored my faith in the game. On top of that, this is also the game's 20th anniversary, so I don't think that they want to release a lackluster set and disappoint the fans, right? So with all of that in mind, okay, within like the last week or like the last 2 weeks, I finally decided, you know what, this is going to be the first time and probably going to be the last time I'm going to, you know, go ahead, take part in the donation contest and end it with a big bang. Alright, so now with all that being said, let us go through the items in order. So first things first, I'm going to go through the face, and then the helm, miscellaneous item, the shield, the weapon, the pad, the armor, and last but not least, I'll do a showcase of this armor against some bosses inside of the game. Right, starting off the list, we have the face. So not much to talk about this one, since this is obviously just purely cosmetic item. All you need to do is donate the bare minimum amount. I think the bare minimum is like 10, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, in order to get a face. So it comes in male and female versions. Okay, this is the female version. I'm currently using the male version. You can color customize every single aspect of the face. The hair is this black part that I have on here. It's sort of like a crown, in my opinion. The skin is your neck area and basically a small part of your face over here, your chin area. Your eyes is obviously the 2 glowing red orbs that I have inside of this skull, and of course extra is going to be the color of the skull. So all in all, it's a nice looking face. I'm going to give it a 8 out of 10 in my opinion for the artwork for the face. So first things first, we have the miscellaneous item. You need to donate a minimum of 1000 tokens and you'll get this item. Okay, so it is a water miscellaneous item. It costs 94 SP per turn and doesn't have any clickable skills on it. So it scales at max level to give extra 20% outgoing damage, and this is adjusted appropriately for spells, skills, and magic weapons. This is universal, so it doesn't matter what type of damage it is or what element it is, you get a 20% damage boost, and this is very, very good. Okay, there are only very few general damage boosters in the game. The ones that I can think of are Blood Contract, which is a premium Z token item. Okay, Z token package item. Quad Force, which is a past donation contest. Wait, no. Quad Force, which is a Frostveil Gift Box item that's perma rare. And then the Winter Crown, which is also a past Frostveil Gift Box item that's perma rare. So we don't have many good general damage boosters in the game. So right off the bat, the 20% damage boost is already super duper good. You get 50 Charisma and Luck stat, and then on top of that you also have a 0.5 times incoming water damage. That's pretty standard for miscellaneous items nowadays. That's not as good as the minus 10% miscellaneous items in the past, but you know what, I'll take it. And the Mastercraft inflicts a minus 20 penalty. This is modified Dunamis, but since it scales, it ends up being slightly better than minus 20. So at level 150, you get minus 20.6 choke potence on enemies when you're attempting the choke effect. So this is obviously meant for people who are playing around with the choke effect. Even if you are not playing with the choke effect, I think this is a very good damage boosting miscellaneous items for Beastmasters, because you get 50 charisma, 50 luck, and that is already super good. Okay, so even if you don't run choke inside of your build, this is still a useful item to bring along for the universal damage boost, especially if you don't have any of the other general damage boosters that I mentioned beforehand. So for artwork wise, I am going to give this an 8 out of 10. It looks almost the same as the Paleskull face. And for the practicality wise, I am going to give this a 9 out of 10. So it is a very good miscellaneous item. The one gripe that I have with the miscellaneous item is, you know, 0.5 times water damage. But you know what, we won't ever get the old standard back. And of course, this is only good if you're like running choke because of the choke potence. It's not universal status potence, but but minus 20, that's pretty high. And on top of that, 94 SP per turn. I wouldn't say it's like a super high SP cost, but if you're just running the miscellaneous item alone and nothing else, you will be able to upkeep it indefinitely. So 9 out of 10 for me, definitely worth getting. So the shield is the Paleskull Defender, and it is a water shield. It gives you 16, 11, 14 melee range magic defenses, and it uses Mastercraft and an extra 3.57% damage taken penalty to grant you a 1-turn damage and 1-turn elemental empowerment effect for all elements at the start of your turn. So this is 1.059 elemental empowerment if you get hit for 1 time. So the more times you get hit, the more elemental empowerment you get. I'm not sure if this is capped, but it might be capped at 4 hits. Okay, not entirely sure, so don't quote me on this. So 1.059 times elemental empowerment. If you use this with the weapon as well as the armor from the set, the potency is doubled. It doesn't show up on the status effect screen, but we'll just test this out right now. So you get hit. Yep, so 1.059 times for 1 hit, and then you can just, multiply the numbers for how many times you are getting hit. Of course, the downside is that this is reliant on you getting hit by the monster. If you don't get hit, then you will not be getting the elemental empowerment. The numbers aren't anything super crazy, but you can actually stack this up, especially for monsters that hit you more than once. Anything that hits you more than once will make this very, very good, and most monsters in the game have at least 2 hits. Okay, for monsters that have even more than 2 hits, then this shield is even better. For the artwork wise, the shield's artwork is kind of basic. I'm going to rate the artwork of the shield a 7 out of 10. For the usability, the downside is, of course, you have to rely on the monster hitting you. Oh, forgot to mention, the shield gives you minus 26% water resist. So yeah, this shield, practicality wise, I am going to give it an 8 out of 10. Overall, I think this shield deserves an 8 out of 10, okay, because it is quite dependent on whether or not the monster can hit you and how many times the monster hits you. That being said, I think the effect is super duper powerful and is good for almost all builds inside the game. So I would say this is definitely worth a pickup for only 2,000 Z tokens. Next up, we have the weapons. So there are actually 3 separate weapons for this, and you need to be in the top 100 in order to get the weapon. Okay, so I am only going to showcase the magic weapon, but I'll talk about all 3 of the weapons. So the weapons are Mastercraft Water Melee Sword, a ranged glaive plus pole arm, as well as a magic axe. So the one that I have is the Axe of Paleskull, which is the magic version. No special, so you get extra 1.08 times damage, and according to Gwen, this is actually the first donation set weapon that is 0 proc, so this is actually a big win for them. They've been asking for it for a long time, but it always has a special. So this one is actually 0 proc, so that's quite nice. You can click on it and pay SP to cast a weapon skill. Okay, so this is an efficient weapon skill. The melee and range version costs 98 SP, but the magic version costs 196 SP. Nonetheless, still a pretty cheap skill. It's 3 hits. If you have empowerment, before the attack, you convert up to 400% melee worth of empowerment into choke for the monster. So 70% empowerment equals to 100% choke, something like that. Starts at 1 turn, but the value goes over 80%, then it gets split. The mob can resist with a save at a +0 bonus. You inflict with your main stat over luck, and the monster resists with charisma over luck. So this is actually an efficient weapon based skill. Let me just go ahead and show it off. Okay, I will get the weapon out here. I will get the shield out here so we can get some elemental empowerment. Oops, okay, never mind. Let me just use the armor here to ensure that we get the empowerment. Come on, okay. Right, so 1.059 times empowerment over here, and then let me just go ahead and switch out of the armor so we can see in the normal state. Alright, so I'm going to spend 196 SP. So with 1.059 times empowerment, let's see how much choke is going to give the monster. 1, 2, 3. So it does about 500 plus damage. For 196 SP is not bad, but if you're using the melee and ranged version, it's even better because it only costs 98 SP. And it gives the monster a choke for 1 round basically for 0.916. Of course, this is a pretty weak elemental empowerment. If you get elemental empowerment even higher and then use the weapon, of course it's going to be better. Right, so I'm going to showcase the weapon when you can, when I max stack the elemental empowerment. Let's see how much choke the weapon inflicts. Okay, so let's do this. Okay, so let's inflict more choke on the foe. Going to do skills. Let's dismount and let's do battle claw to inflict choke on the foe. Right, so we got 3 rounds of choke. Let's do it a few more times. 0.375, 0.266. 0.186, 4 rounds of choke right now. Okay, so let's go ahead and mount up. And then we are going to use our Rainbow Scream. Okay, before we do that, let's hide the pet so it doesn't interfere. Rainbow Scream. Okay, convert all of this. Alright, so we get 1.812 rounds of 1.812, 4 rounds of elemental empowerment. Let's switch out of the armor right now, and if I click on this weapon, okay, so now currently the monster has 3 rounds of 0.901 times choke, and we have 4 rounds of 1.812 elemental empowerment. So let's eat all this elemental empowerment. Let's see how much choke we get on the monster. So 5 rounds, 0.177 choke. Okay, and our elemental empowerment has all been eaten up. Right, so all in all, I think this weapon is alright. Okay, initially I did support this idea. On paper it did look good, but after, you know, testing out myself, I felt that the weapon could be just a little bit better. And my suggestion for it would be to, you know, put this skill inside of the miscellaneous item instead, and give the weapon like a passive effect with each regular attack to inflict either choke or give yourself elemental empowerment. I think that is what they could do to slightly improve on the weapon, but you know, that's just my personal opinion. All in all, I think the weapon looks very nice. It looks nicer than its shield for sure. So I give the weapon artwork a 9 out of 10. And for the weapon itself, the practicality wise, I am actually going to give the weapon a 7 out of 10. Okay, I think the weapon is not bad. Okay, I'm not saying it's a bad weapon, but I do think that it could be just that tiny little bit better, at least compared to the other items of the set. You know, the bar has been set so high, so my expectations are naturally very high for the weapon as well. Don't get me wrong, it's not a bad weapon. I just don't really like it that much. I think more could be done to make the weapon shine just a little bit more. The pet, which is also called Flincher, is a Mastercraft melee water pet that is given to the top 100 donors. So it has 0.8 times random lean, neutral accuracy lean, and Mastercraft it toggles between 2 modes. By default it's in the raw mode, which does extra 5% damage, and if the foe has choke on it, it will eat up to 80% melee worth of the choke. So roughly around 67.23% reduction total will cap it out, and at the start of your next turn, it will then apply an Omni Elemental Empower effect for 2 turns. And that is equal to half of the total percent melee value of the eaten choke. In the second mode, which is Pounce mode, it pays 50% pet damage and Mastercraft to attempt to inflict choke for 1 turn. So if the monster is 100% water resist, it's going to inflict a 0.63 times choke. This is actually a really good number, and I'm going to showcase it right now. Okay, inflict with charisma overlap versus the mob's endurance overlap. So the effectiveness of this choke, this 0.63, is not affected by charisma, and I think that's very good because it makes the pet usable for both Beastmasters and non-Beastmaster. Of course, if you're a Beastmaster with charisma trained, it makes inflicting this a lot easier, but even without charisma, you still have a decent chance of inflicting the choke effect. Okay, if using the armor and the shield from the set, okay, the raw mode deals extra 10% damage, and the choke value gets upgraded to 0.563. So I'm going to bring out the shield as well as the armor right now just to show you guys. Okay, let's attack. And boom. Okay, 0.563. Now we are going to go ahead and inflict choke, and then we'll have the monster, we'll have the pet go ahead and eat up the choke for elemental empowerment. Let's see how much it gives us. So we'll do it without the shield. Okay. Let's see. Choke. Alright, choke. Now we go ahead and choke the monster. So let's go ahead and do Battle Claw. So now the monster has 4 rounds of 0.643 choke. And we are given 1.4 times elemental empowerment for 2 rounds. So this is actually pretty decent. Okay, I would say for the pet, you know, just eating it up on its own. The artwork of the pet, I am going to give it a 9 out of 10. I think they did a great work with making the pet look very similar to Cringer from the original He-Man series. For the practicality of the pet, I think the pet is absolutely amazing, being able to switch between the 2 modes. Okay, and I will give, the pet is obviously not meant to deal a lot of damage, but the pet, its effect is really super duper strong. So I'm going to give the pet's practicality a 10 out of 10, guys. That's right. That's how good I think this pet is, and overall I'm going to give the pet a 9.5 out of 10. Alright, very amazing pet. If you you do need to spend around 75k Z tokens, if I'm not mistaken, in order to get this pet, so it's definitely not a cheap pet, but if you have it, then yeah, definitely worth keeping inside your active inventory. Overall, I'm very happy with the pet. And last but not least, we have the armor, the creme de la creme of the entire set. Okay, the one item tying the whole set together, and in my opinion, the best piece of the set. Okay, of course, this is only given to the top 25, so it's very highly exclusive, and you do need to spend quite a lot of tokens to get it. So it is a Mastercraft fully offensive water armor. So the defenses are 42, 42, 42 for melee range and magic. It has primary resist to water at 40%, secondary resist at ice and darkness at 51%, tertiary resist, you have your earth at 60%, and then it's weak to light and fire at 81%, and last but not least, it's weakest to energy at 91%. So the armor comes with two different modes, okay? So the flavor effect is that you pay minus 3 MRM to deal 7.5% damage, extra 7.5% damage against choked enemies. Alright, so the skill here, okay, I'm going to showcase it in the mount mode first. So in the mount mode, the regular attack has 2 hits, pretty standard. If you're using a magic weapon, you have Rainbow Scream. Okay, so have your Battle Tiger scream at the top of its lungs, taking advantage of your foe's choke to gain empowerment. So it costs 179 SP if you're using a magic weapon. If you're using a melee weapon, however, it only costs 82 SP, so super duper cheap, and it's another efficient skill. Okay, so in this mode, the armor basically just does regular damage. Now you can also click on it to dismount. Okay, so when you dismount it, okay, it locks your armor attacks to water element, but you deal 190% damage. So this is very good, especially if you want to maximize your damage. And instead of this mode, you have a different skill called Battle Claw. Sick your Battle Tiger on your foe, rending them and making them choke. So this costs 82 SP if you're using a melee or ranged weapon, and if you're using a magic weapon, it costs 179 SP. So let's go ahead and use this skill, okay, Battle Claw, to inflict choke. So it does about 500 plus damage. For an efficient skill, it's not bad, and inflicts 0.643 choke for 3 rounds, using only the armor alone and nothing else. So we can stack this. Boom, now it's 4 rounds, 0.375. We can go again, and you can see the low SP cost makes this very good. Of course, you're not really using this skill for damage, but yeah, this, you can look at the amount that is stacking now, 0.023. Okay, the enemy is basically going to deal almost no damage to you at this rate. So now it's back to 4 rounds, 0.128. So you really can't go much lower. It just increases the duration, I think. Let's do again. Alright, 0.0174 4 rounds. Now let's go ahead and mount up, and with this amount of choke, 4 rounds, 0.017, let's do Rainbow Scream, and it eats up most of the choke. So now you still get 3 rounds of 0.731 choke, but instead you now get 4 rounds of 1.8 times elemental empowerment. And if you dismount to lock your attacks to water, look at the amount of damage I'm doing, over 1100 damage. And then we can do again. This is without any boosters, without the full set. Oh my god, that is insane damage, guys. Alright, so now let's go ahead and use this with the full set. Okay, so Rainbow Scream, it let me see here, it's 1 hit only. Elicon reduces the SP cost. If possible, converts up to 400% melee worth of choke into Omni Elemental and Power, and maximum applies a 1.8 times Elemental and Power for 5 turns. So that's the max, which we did hit just now. And Battle Claw, okay, 2 hits, Elicon reduced SP cost, deals minus 50% damage, and attempts to inflict a 35.7% choke effect for 2 times hits turns. This has plus 0 save bonus, player's main stat over luck versus the monster's charisma over luck. So this is actually quite easy to inflict, and it should be 42% choke instead of 35.7%. 35.7%. I'm not sure if they fixed that yet. I don't think they have, but it's okay. So let's use this with the full weapon, armor, as well as the pet. So let's see how well this does. Okay, so choke here, choke there, choke everywhere. Let's go into Paleskull Champion, and then we'll bring out the Paleskull Helm for some choke potency. Okay, so let's do Battle Claw. Boom. Alright, so 1 turn, 1 turn of this, we get 0.534 times choke for 3 rounds and 1.059 times elemental empowerment. And if I mount up and I use Rainbow Scream, and then if I convert this to elemental empower as well, boom, I get 1.702 time 2 rounds of elemental empower. Alright, so this is just from 1 turn, guys, and that I think is absolutely crazy. Okay, just so in 1 turn I'm getting like an extra 70, almost 70% damage boost, just like that, guys. Insane with the full set. So overall, I think the artwork of the armor, this has to be a 10 out of 10. I mean, it's Battle Cat and you get this, you know, beefy, thick character mounted on top of it. Okay, and of course you can dismount. Mounting and dismounting armors, I really like it. And I think what really makes this armor shine is the flexibility to convert between defensive mode, which is choke, and of course offensive mode, which is elemental and power. Okay, on top of that, practicality wise, I think the armor is really good for almost all situations. So practicality, I'm going to give this armor a 10 out of 10 as well. And overall, this armor has to be 10 out of 10 without a doubt, the best piece out of the entire set. Alright, so I initially didn't add this in, but shout out to Lupao for letting me know. Okay, so the Paleskull armor is actually wasting 1 turn on element and power because you get it as soon as your attack is finished, as there is no 0 turn and power. It just vanishes. So to show you guys what I mean, here I'm going to do Battle Claw to choke the monster. And what happens is if you eat a weak choke that gives empower for 1 turn, you actually get nothing. Okay, so I don't think it happens on the armor itself, but if you have other forms of choke and it's not particularly strong, then you might end up with 1 turn of empowerment, which really gives you nothing. It doesn't empower your skills at all. Okay, so I'm going to mount up here. I'm going to do Rainbow Scream. Yeah, you can see here it's actually only 1 round and not 2 rounds over there. So the first round is actually wasted because you get it the moment you attack, and of course it doesn't apply to your attack. So that's a little bit unfortunate, but it's not a deal breaker for me. I still think the armor is really good even with this downside. And another thing that I want to showcase is the potion animation. So if I drink a potion in the armor, you can see here, okay, when it's mounted, it looks normal, right? Okay, we'll showcase the MP potion as well. Yeah, it looks normal, but when I dismount it and drink the potion, look at that. I say, hey, what's going on? Look at that, guys. Boom, nice rainbow view over there, man. Oh my god. I don't even know what to say to this, man. What the heck is that movement? Okay, so yeah, 10 out of 10 for me, definitely. And is it worth 300,000 tokens? Watch the next part to find out. Overall, I personally feel that this has been one of the best sets we've ever had in the entire game for a long time. Okay, and of course you do need to spend quite a hefty amount of money in order to get the full set, but do I think it's worth it? And honestly, the answer is going to be a no, because no 5 items in the game are ever going to be worth, you know, 300,000 Z tokens. That's just an exorbitant amount of money to pay for the set. But you know what? It's a very good set, if not the best set in the game we've had for a long time. And yeah, to me, as someone who loves He-Man and as someone who loves strong items, the main selling point of the set, in my opinion, is really the flexibility to change between offensive and defensive playstyle all in one set alone. You know, you don't have to sacrifice 2 different sets of inventory slots for offensive and defensive playstyle when you can have it all inside of this one set. Of course, my main gripe with it is that it's not wind element, but that being said, water element is actually not too bad. Okay, it's actually not too bad. Alright. So all in all, I feel that the set deserves a 9 out of 10. It's a very good set. There are some criticisms that I have the set, like the weapon, but and of course, you know, some of the other small little criticisms that I have with the other items, you can, you know, listen to that in the different parts of the review. But yeah, all in all, I still feel it's a fantastic set, and if you have the money, then maybe it's going to be worth it for you. Alright, do I regret spending over 300,000 tokens on this set? No, I don't, even though I say it's not worth it, but I really like the set, man. So yeah, take from that what you will. And of course, if you are one of the lucky top 25 who gets the entire set, then congratulations. I hope you enjoyed the set as much as I did. And without further ado, let us go ahead and check out this set in action against some of the tough bosses that this game has to offer.